Hi everyone, my name is Helen Sprague and this is my instructional inquiry demonstration for EDU 743. This project is designed as a 3-week unit based on the main learning result E2C, which deals with carrying capacity and the factors that determine it. The guiding essential question is, does the Earth have a carrying capacity, and if so, have we reached it? The students will have basic assigned textbook reading, and from there they may access an informational text set to do research to support their position. As a final assessment, the students will write an argumentation essay aligned with the Common Core state standards. The Literacy Design Collaboration Template Task number 1 describes the essay. The essay will be assessed using the teaching task rubric for argumentation provided by the LDC. The following project details the teaching unit. I just want to show you first the template for the argumentation task. This is taken directly from the LDC, and this describes what the task is to do. When I first began the unit, I asked the students to look at this image and to respond to its caption, carrying capacity. What is your responsibility to the planet? I really like this picture, and it shows a weighted down truck filled with people and all their supplies. And we can make the analogy to Earth and its population. I asked the students to make to do a quick write on this image and then turn it in, and we'll look at it again at the end of the unit. While the students are writing their quick write, I hand out what is called a knowledge rating guide, and this is for all the vocabulary. The knowledge rating guide has the list of pertinent vocabulary and 3 columns for the students to check their knowledge and rate their knowledge. They either can know and use the word, and they can teach it to appear without looking it up. They are aware of the word but need a little bit more instruction before they could successfully use it. And they don't know the word at all. After they have worked on this, I have them do what is called 2-column notes. The section or the chapter in the textbook has 3 sections, and each section has just 3 to 4 pages worth of reading. The reading then is broken down into significant information from the reading, so they get the main idea and supporting detail. This box here is for their interaction with the text. What did they learn in this? What was anything that they already knew? Did they have any questions? Did it spark any memories? How did they interact with the text? This is my favorite box here. The bottom box here is for visuals. The visuals are really important when you read science. Sometimes they're graphs, sometimes they're pictures, sometimes they're charts. But they all are representations of the reading. They represent the text. It's the condensation all into one, the distillation of all the information into a visual for a certain section. And so I require the students to respond to each visual in some way. After they have done the reading, or while they're doing the reading, I might check their comprehension and their understanding as we go through with quick writes or exit slips. And the questions they might include: describe human population from using the 4 parameters from the reading. What are the 4 factors that determine the size of a population, and how do these apply to human population? What are some biotic and abiotic factors that may be limiting factors for human population? What happens to the environment when its carrying capacity has been surpassed? And what happens to the population when its carrying capacity has been surpassed? How has technology affected human carrying capacity? These are all great questions to see if they've understood and have distilled the information from the reading. Once they have finished the reading, I like to do what I call word displays. And this is where I can group the kids or assign kids individual words, and they make a word display for their assigned vocabulary. And then, excuse me, and then they share out to the class, and the words are posted around the essential question on the wall. This particular word display is dealing with homeostasis, which is the state of equilibrium, a balance between two interdependent elements such as their communities and their environment, or the environment and political policies. They can choose cartoons, they can choose metaphors, analogies. How they do the word display is pretty much up to them, and they can get pretty creative. I have construction paper, and the kids can print off um, a 8 by 11 sheet and mount it on construction paper and then post it around the essential question. When we're through working with the vocabulary in this way, and sometimes leading into a Friday, it's nice to do a game with them. And here is the bingo word game from the Baines and Kunkel book that we just read, and the list of different vocabulary words. Some of these words were pulled from a unit previous to this, so I want to keep those words coming back into use. Now I'm getting ready to move into a pre-writing phase, and this is where I have them go to the informational text set on Moodle, and I've just brought up the screen for my Integrated Science 2 Moodle platform. This is the beginning. There's a 1, 2, and here we move down to Unit 2 Populations, and I can click on the informational text set. And here's the text set that I developed last class in 742. And this has a wide range of text complexity, all revolving around population and human population, and everything from the factors that affect it. And the students here can come in and do any kind of research and find supporting detail. At this time, though, I also make them open up a folder for research and keep it on their desktop, and a reference page which is created too, and they keep that in their project folder. The reference page is so that they can keep track of where they found all their supporting evidence for their position, as I require a work of reference at the end. After they finish collecting all of their resources and their data and are starting to form their position, I might have them work on the vocabulary and their positions at the same time using two strategies out of the Baines and Kunkel book. The first one is scrambled sentences. This is an activity where they use vocabulary and they create sentences. I could use it as a whole group activity or smaller group activity, and each person would make, say, 2 or 3 different sentences using different vocabulary words. Then all the sentences would be put into one pile, and then the group would, or class, could form a coherent paragraph out of the scrambled sentences. Another activity that I like doing is thinking sentences. Using the same vocabulary, I could give them a prompt such as, how does one determine when an ecosystem is in balance? And they could use this prompt, and the first person would write 1 or 2 sentences using some of the vocabulary and pass it to the next person, who would build on that using more vocabulary. And it would go round robin until completion. This gives them time to think and to process and to gain ideas from each other. Let me close these out. And the next thing from here in their writing part is I will take them to what is called a thesis generator. My friends in English department turned me on to this, and I was really happy with it. Even though it's called a persuasive essay, we could also use this for argumentation. And as I scroll down to this area right here, they could put in what the topic they wanted to write about. Say it's carrying capacity. What is your opinion on this topic? Yes, we've reached carrying capacity, or no, we haven't. And what's the strongest argument? It could be that we are rapidly using up all the arable land to produce food for the growing population, or possibly we're running out of potable, fresh water to drink. And what's the main argument against the position? It might involve technology and how technology advances have helped us overcome many of these barriers. And to give it a title, and you hit build a thesis, and it'll pop up a very nice example that the students can use to build on. If I come up here, I can click on example topic questions. This is just something to noodle around with the students to get them the idea of how to use this. And here's some example of great thesis statements. This is for persuasive thesis statements, cause and effect thesis statements, sample topic questions, topogramma. So this is a really nice website to help support students in their organization and getting started. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is just getting it started. Once I have them on their way with this, let me minimize this, close this, and this, and this. Sometimes I can give them a graphic organizer that will help them organize and keep track of their thoughts and ideas. I like working with the frame. This one has 3 main ideas. I have other ones that have 4 or 5. This has the key topic, and this would be their position or something like a title, perhaps. Their main idea and supporting details. And at the bottom is the big idea, the conclusion. I've had a lot of success working with the frame with students, especially struggling writers. Once they have a good draft going, a paper that they think they can bring to completion, I go back and I do what is called an anchor paper activity. This is where I hand them out. I get them first into groups 3 to 5, and I hand out a stack of examples of different levels of writing. And I ask them to grade or score the papers to the rubric. When the groups are finished, I put the rubric on the overhead, and we begin to discuss how they scored the rubric and then how I scored the rubric. We flesh out the details of each criterion and look for the evidence for each criterion. Sometimes I'll add a plagiarized paper and we can discuss hearing your voice in your writing. Students can then go back to their paper and score it to the rubric and revise. I talk to the students about reading out loud to find their mistakes, and that our brains often self-correct when we read silently. So peer editing is a great way to help with this. I asked a colleague, or I'd like to ask a colleague, to do a fishbowl activity with me. I really like this peer editing that we got from the class. And if I come down to the screen, there it is. The 3 steps to peer editing. Step 1, to give compliments. Step 2, for suggestions. And step 3, for corrections. In the past, when I've had them peer edit, they just want to say how great everything is and give them their paper back and put an A on it, when in fact that's really not what they saw in it at all. And so I thought if I could do a fishbowl activity and sort of model how this would look between 2 people, that this would be a really good opportunity for a second revision. At the end of their second revision, I would ask them to self-score and then turn their essay in. The quick writes from the beginning of the unit are redistributed now, and we can talk about how things may have changed. A possible question to pose to students that could involve a cross-curricular opportunity could be, should the world governments employ a 1 or 2 child reproduction law? Depending on the students, teacher, and parents, this question opens up some great dialogue. And as a possible celebration of a job well done, the movie put out by National Geographic, Aftermath, Population Zero, could be shown. It's when the world's population actually goes overnight to zero and how the earth recovers after the existence.